One thing about this Strive patch and this 2xKO patch, it did the impossible. It made Leffen stop bitching. Yeah, this patch is really great. And I wanted to talk a little bit about why for both to give some context maybe. Because if you're like a non-Strive player, you may recall not long ago for Tekken, they had their like big trailer where they were like, yo, season 3 is coming out, whatever. They called it the back to basics patch. We're gonna strip down a lot of the stuff you guys don't like that's like too powerful, too annoying, and we're gonna make the game like more simplified about like the core things you love about Tekken. Now, the patch came out and a lot of people did not feel that that patch did that and they were very upset. The Strive patch is basically them actually saying that and then actually doing that. They went back and they're like, hey guys, we don't like that the power level of the game has risen so drastically because of mechanics like Wild Assault. We're gonna like tone the game down and try to make it more about the characters actually doing the cool stuff they're supposed to do, and not just like every character, every time they do anything, being the craziest thing on the planet. They made awesome changes to system mechanics, which regardless of where the character changes are, the system mechanic changes are things you will feel in literally every match. There was a lot of stuff in the game where you would just do something and then it was so powerful that you were just supposed to do it always because it was so good. That's like, why not just do this strong thing? Throwing someone, every time your throw miss, you could just react with PRC and then force them into a bad spot. So if you have 50 meter and you just do a throw, like, and things like when you break the wall and you have positive bonus, like BRCing in, you get all your meter back and then more because you have positive bonus. Things like that are worse now. Things like scaling after PRC in general, like I whiff and I'm like, oh, it's gonna whiff, and I cancel, and then you do something to stop my whiff and I punish you. My combo is very scaled. It's not gonna do very much damage. It allows you to still use the meter to save yourself, but it doesn't give you like, oh, I goofed up, counter 60% and just kill you. And also, yeah, like things like you can no longer PRC or RC reversals. They're just punishable. I think that change is also really nice because if you have full meter in this game, there is basically no incentive not to do invincible super on wake up into RC. Why wouldn't you? It's completely safe. Now that's no longer an option. Same thing with like how powerful backdash BRC is. Removing Wild Assault, which was like a universal mechanic that made the best characters better and made the worst characters slightly better. That was the problem with Wild Assault. So they just made a lot of like really good changes, I think, to basically every part of the system, as well as like toning down the cast and basically making them do shorter combos and like interact with their kits more and interact with their opponents more. Obviously, there's going to be outliers in character balance still. There will be things that are stronger than others. It doesn't matter what it is. It's a fun patch. I think like you're playing more of the game rather than like one thing happens, the match snowballs out of your control. The system of what your opponent can do is so powerful that you kind of just have to sit there and kind of eat shit for a while, and then maybe you get lucky. I feel like in Strive before, you would have so many times where you would be in a position where you could sort of do no wrong. You were in such a powerful game state that it's like, I have so much meter and I have infinite health to do stuff and I have infinite resources to lock you down. And like, if I hit you with anything, you die and you have to defend against like 7 or 8 things in a row. And like, if you're right through all of that, then like your bonus for being right is like, we finally maybe sort of go back to neutral. It's awesome. The patch just feels great. I think 2xKO is the exact same way, by the way. I think the reason the 2xKO patch is so good, they made really good changes to the system. They reduced like power level of just tag as a whole, making it so that tagging when you're not connecting with an assist is a minus now. Prevent situations where I just like force nasty tags in your face. And they made things like push block parry weaker so that you can actually run some offense afterwards instead of being like forced into a 50-50 the second you do that, which I know that one's a little contentious to some people, but I hate push block into parry. I think it's just like really gross. Let's say you know I'm gonna push block, so you do like jab, run up, and you try to do another button on my push block. If you're one frame off, you leave one frame gap, I can tag, and during the tag, I can see your medium and parry it on reaction, and I get a full combo. That basically meant that like a lot of times the like optimal play, if someone push blocked you, was to not even do a button. You would just run up and do nothing and then let them tag and then like leave. It feels bad to like try to bait push block and then you're punished if you're like a single frame off of keeping the string tight. And like, it's so hard to know if that's gonna actually be like a real string or not. You know what I mean? There's like not really a way to know. They also kind of like nerfed long combos by making the burst gain faster. I do think Fury is not tuned correctly for it, and I think it probably needs to be tuned a bit for how long some of the characters are. But I think that that's like not a bad way to disincentivize people from doing like insanely long combos because it gives you full burst instantly. Besides that, the rest of the system changes are so good anyway that like I think this patch is like super fun. They lowered the power level of like obnoxious stuff that people didn't like in the system while letting the characters still be powerful and cool. Basically the best case scenario for the game. They did a good job. I think like the changes really good. Is Zato okay now? He actually is better this patch, yeah. I don't think anybody can tell you where he's at in terms of like a tier list because the whole game is different, man. Like people think Nago, Leo, Chip, probably like Axel, Ram. Those characters are also really good. Milia is also really strong. Those are characters that people think are really strong, but like the actual power level of all those characters, who's weak or like who else is actually the strongest, like maybe Happy Cow is better than all of them and we just don't know. Who knows?